Hello, students. Here we are on chapter 31. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that river when I finish with this chapter. Where do you think I could be? Let me show you. I'm going to show you around for just a second. See this big river? And then look at the statue behind me. Do you see any clues to where I am? I don't see any flags for you. Let's jump into this chapter and we'll talk about it a little bit more afterward. Chapter 31. I used my flint to relight the lantern. So now we had 3 glowing, which was abundant light. Once I took off my shawl and flung it into the rowboat. It took just moments for us to push into the cove water. I took the center seat, placed my relit lantern at my feet, and snatched up the oars. Thad was at his stern, his lantern next to him. Sam was in the bow, holding his lantern high, searching for a boat. I started rowing. Just tell me which direction to go. Ahead, said Sam. There is, I thought, no other way to go. The morning fog was thicker over the bay than on land, so dense we quickly lost sight of the beach. We could have been a few yards from shore, or 100 miles out on the way to nowhere. It was only the splash of oars and the swaying of the boat that told me we were on water. Port, said Sam. Then after a bit he said, You're fine on the bow. Thad said, You know sailing lingo. Told you, returned Sam. I come from Sag Harbor. You sail before you walk. A whaling port, isn't it? Thad asked. You ever go whaling? 3-year voyage. That was enough. But I learned ships, and one of the jacktars taught me bugling. I pulled along for a while, with no talk other than Sam's directions. There's a ship right, Sam said, but suddenly he hissed, Stop! Startled, I shoved the oar handles down so that the blades lifted from the water. No talk, Sam whispered urgently. I listened. I heard nothing save our dripping oars. Plip, plop, plip, plop. Blow the lanterns, Sam said in a low voice. We snuffed our lights. With darkness complete, every sense of direction vanished, leaving nothing but damp air and water. I wanted to say, What is it? But didn't dare speak. We drifted, the slap of water against our little boat, the sole sound. Then, from somewhere, I wasn't sure from what direction, I heard what sounded like the soft splash of careful oars. It started. It stopped. Started again. I looked where I thought the noise came from. Next moment, I saw a splodge of light that lasted seconds. Everything became dark again, but something was out there. What was that? I whispered. No one replied. I listened hard, but nothing else came. Sam, low voice, said, A beam, starboard side. We coasted, our rowboat gently rocked by small ripples perhaps made by whoever was near, if it was someone. I tried to aim my eyes where I had seen the light, but not certain if it had truly been there. The faint splashing was altogether gone. We floated on. I said, Was it someone? Sam, his voice low still, said, Gone now. Who do you think? Somebody may have seen our lantern light, said Thad. Moved away. Sam said, The crimps, maybe. Crimps, I cried. Shh, Sam cautioned. We didn't speak. All was still. Or fishermen, said Thad, keeping his voice low. I said, could it have been Jacob being taken somewhere? Sure, muttered Sam. Unable to restrain myself, I yelled, Jacob! As if in response, I heard quick splashes on the starboard side, which made my heart thump. Jacob! I cried again. Only silence. Dang, said Thad. They were close. Took off, said Sam severely, barely above a whisper. To me, Thad said, you chased them off. I felt abashed and knew I owned it. I wish I hadn't shouted. No one spoke until I said, how many people do you think there were? No notion. Jacob? Maybe. But shh, Sam warned. They could be following us. They'd as soon dump and drown us as anything. Killers. We sat in silence, our rowboat floating gently, even as my heart pounded. I realized that the darkness had gradually turned somewhat lighter, becoming a shade of gray, enough to suggest that dawn was coming. As the night continued to lift, the dead ships seemed to rise out of the water, as if slowly emerging up from the cove water. It was fantastical. As for another small boat, I saw none. After a while, Sam said, when you came to the cove, anyone see you coming down the hill? Follow you? I thought a bit, and that's when I remembered who that man was that came upon me while I was waiting by our tent for Thad. The man with the broken nose and pistol sitting outside the police chief's office. A man, I said, who knows me. Somebody who overheard what I said to the police chief. What did he hear? Said Sam. Everything you told me. Then I added, and Senor Rosales said the police work with the crimps. You think that's true? Could be, said Thad. I said, then the man knows I'm looking for Jacob. Sam said, Castle saw you at the Mercury that night, and that man you saw, if your senor is right, I'd say he and Castle are working together to keep you from your brother. Thad said, maybe the one we just heard out here. The thought of that violent-looking man made my nervousness increase. I said, do you think he came about and is following us? No one answered, just listened. In the hush that followed, all I could hear were my own rebuking thoughts. Stupid, stupid. After a while, Sam said, all right then, understand. If the police are working with Castle and they know you're looking for your brother, it'll make things worse. But boots to buttons, they're out here, either dodging us or trying to find us. Which? Take your pick. Thad stared out over the water. Whoever they are, they're gone. We better move. But I ask, what if they're following us? Sam said, hey, we either do something or not. Anyway, added Thad, can't be sure it was them. Just need to keep listening. I began to row again, trying to make as little noise as possible. There was just enough light, so we didn't have to relight the lanterns. No one spoke until Sam said, ahead, there's a ship. There was a thump. Our rowboat jolted. We're on her, said Thad. That is the end of chapter 31. That was pretty short. Maybe I'll do another one later when I'm back at the house. But now I wanted to tell you guys what it is you're seeing behind me. Has anyone ever heard of the Rhine River in Germany? It's a UNESCO heritage spot here in the Rhine River Valley, and that is the river behind you. So what country am I in? Look at that statue again. I'm in Germany. See you guys later.